But yes, I'm the superintendent of schools in Van Meter, Iowa, which is 22 miles west on the interstate that way. And we are a K-12 school district of about 633 kids. And Mike, we're going to graduate the largest senior class next week, 55 students. So, hey, all right. But, we're just going to go to that middle one there.
This one?
Yeah, this one right here. And I think we're going to have to plug in the sound.
All right. Cool. Sorry.
Here you go.
Nobody told me I was doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Tip displays. Did you do that yet?
No. And yeah, this is not my AV person, but if we can get that to play. Thank you, sir. This is what it looks like. I'm just going to give a quick snapshot of what it looks like at Van Meter right now, today. Last fall, we issued every student with a laptop computer in grades 7 through 12, and that next fall our plan is to include the 6th grade. We're almost paperless at this point, and our social studies teacher asked that the textbooks be turned in last January. So he is working without a net right now. So hopefully this will go. Notice the date, 1989, retooling the schools, Wall Street Journal. Teacher's pet, schools where computers really work. That's the map of the one-to-one school districts that are currently in the state of Iowa. As I talk to you today, I'd like you to kind of focus in on these 4 children. These are Darren Derflinger's children. Darren is our secondary principal. Emma will be in 6th grade next year. She's the oldest. And their youngest one, Carter, will enter kindergarten next year. And as you can see, we're training them right with University of Iowa apparel. Go Hawks, right? But, boy, I'm having trouble with this sound stuff. But I guess to back up the clock, the Van Meter Community School District is located in Dallas County. We are surrounded by 4A schools, 3A schools, and as Mike mentioned, we're a 1A school. Class sizes are about anywhere from 30 to our largest class this year of 50. 5 years ago when I went down to the Van Meter schools, the concern down there is that we did not want to become another big box school. The Waukee Community School District, which was to our north, was one of the fastest growing school districts in the state of Iowa. And the board at that time, as a secondary principal, they challenged the secondary to say, what do we need to do differently? The factory model schools, the model that was used, was created at the turn of the last century. And that systems thinking at that time used the industrial model, and they applied it to education. So instead of having passing times, or instead of having conveyor belts, you had passing times. And you had subject specialists. And that system served us for the next 100 years. But right now, today, the world has changed. And we're 10 years into the next century. And yet our educational systems are still the same, still operating the same way they did 100 years ago. And as Mike, you mentioned, we talked about a printing press moment in the history of mankind. The one-to-one schools in the state of Iowa, well, to back up, at Van Meter, we embrace this new technology. Our board last year said we will go one-to-one. We issued every student the laptop computer last August, and we have totally transformed our thinking. As we've moved forward, we found we're not the only ones in the state of Iowa doing this. Central City in eastern Iowa actually 3 years ago became a one-to-one school. No one knew anything about it. Newell Fonda over in western Iowa, the superintendent there, Jeff Dix, his school district became a one-to-one school the year before us. Darren Derflinger, our secondary principal, he rolled out a one-to-one program at Cardinal the year before he came to Van Meter. And I guess the point I want to make with you is that putting wireless laptop computers in the hands of young people, connecting them to the internet, totally transforms thinking. And that we've moved at Van Meter from being a consumer of content to a creator of content. The printing press moment in that tool is just like the printing press making books available. When the printing press came online, it created the Bible. The Bible was made available to everyone. Thinking changed, and it turned every system that we had upside down. Right now, today, with the wireless laptop computers, the internet, all systems are being turned upside down. There are currently 15 one-to-one schools. Next year in Iowa, there will be 30 one-to-one schools. And it's projected the year after that, there could be as many as 70 to 80 one-to-one schools. Now, as you saw in the video clip, the kids, they learn 24/7. Teachers are having to learn new skill sets. Instead of the teacher being the sage on the stage, they're now moving to becoming the facilitator on the side. This, for the teachers, the workforce, has been very frightening because no longer are they the ones with all the answers. The kids, anything that the kids are presented with, they're able to get online, Google, and check it immediately. And so what we've looked to do is we've tried to find kids' passions and their strengths. And in finding kids as their passion, we then try to get them pointed in that direction. Now, Emma is a sixth grader, or Emma's a fifth grader. She'll be a sixth grader this fall. And she'll be one of the students that will be getting one of the wireless laptop computers. The teachers and the kids, their roles are being redefined. As I mentioned, instead of being the sage on the stage, the teachers now are learning at the same rate the kids are. What's exciting to me is that in seventh graders last year, when they would go to a class and there would be an opening comment made, a bell ringing activity, the students would respond to it. The teacher would ask questions, and maybe one or two or three students would respond. At Van Meter, we use Nings, wikis, blogging, and so when a student now responds to a bell ringing activity at the beginning of a class, he's on the teacher's Ning, and so everyone gets to see what that student's thoughts are. And every student's thinking now is raised to the same level as everyone else's thinking. And that shy kid that was in the back of the room that a year ago, his ideas wouldn't even have been brought up, they're now being brought up. And it's so empowering because now the kid that never spoke, his ideas have the same worth and value as everybody else's. And it's so cool that now the conversation is like, hey, Rod, you never said anything a year ago, but that idea was really pretty cool. And so, and the self-esteem that builds in kids, it is electrifying to see these kids want to learn and want to find their passions. Our school board, I have to give the credit to our school board because they're the ones that decided we're going to go this way. We're not going to go that way. We're going to go this way. Mike, our school board, they are a microcosm of Iowa. We have an insurance executive. We have an agribusinessman, a farmer. We have an individual who's self-employed insurance salesman. We have someone that works down at the city hall. It is a true reflection of what Iowa is. And the board, the direction to change came from the board. It wasn't from the system because the system has been resisting change for a long time. It was from the board, from the patrons saying, we want our kids to be able to compete with anybody on the planet. In fact, the board has challenged me to make Van Meter a global high school, to offer anyone on the planet a high school diploma from Van Meter. And we're currently kind of working through those ideas. But beginning with the board has said, you know, John, we don't want to become another big box school. We don't want kids falling through the cracks. We need to individualize instruction. The system, as it was initially created, the industrial model educational system, was that if you fit into parameters, you're right here. If you did not fit into parameters, you either dropped off into special ed or you moved into talented and gifted. The model that we see emerging at Van Meter is that every child is looked on as an individual, and their strengths and passions are being recognized, and the wireless laptop computer is like a choir robe. It is a game changer. It levels the playing field. Because as in church, when the choir is singing and they all have their robes on, all you hear is the gift of music. And with the robes on, you can't tell if someone's rich or poor or tall or skinny. And with the wireless laptop computers, you can't tell if a student is at risk, very affluent, poor, has a physical condition. All that comes out is the gift of thinking and creating. Now, I keep talking about Van Meter, but as I mentioned, there are 15 other schools in the state of Iowa that are working in this direction. And it amazes me that they're not getting the publicity or the notoriety that, as exciting as this is. In Sigourney, Todd Abrahamson, the superintendent there, in Sigourney, every ninth grader goes through a workplace readiness class or a class where they have to design a business plan. All of those students who would want to try and start their businesses, the school district has set up business capital, $2,500, to loan the kids to start up their business. There have been several businesses that have been started that are now very profitable. One young lady has started a business that is a web design company, and the district has hired her now to manage the school's website. As we started to think differently with the wireless laptops in place, I got 5 minutes, wireless laptops in place, things began to be attracted to us. Van Meter is one of 4 school districts on the planet that has both a one-to-one capacity and a virtual reality capacity. Our students are working with the free download Blender, and they are creating simulations in 3-dimensional holograms. We've enlisted the help of the Allers law firm so that when the kids do create things, their intellectual property rights can be tagged and protected. But we have, our thinking has changed. This printing press moment is actually redefining what teaching and learning is going to need to look like. Van Meter, South Hamilton, and Newell Fonda are all teaching Spanish asynchronously. The kids go to their Spanish classes on the 3 campuses, but then they are put into work teams with the other students on the other sites, and they do their homework whenever they can get connected. That's a real-world learning experience. The scary part about all of this is that we have also reached out to the teacher prep programs in the state of Iowa. And we have said that Web 2.0 tools, social media, are all skill sets that teachers need to have. And what's frightening is that, to our knowledge, there are no teacher prep programs turning out teachers that can teach in this new modality. Folks, it's time for a complete system redesign. K through 20, K through 16. We need to step away from our old lines of thinking, like the agricultural-based school calendar, subject specialists. Students, when they're in their passion, it unleashes unlimited energies. And thinking and learning goes on 24/7. Going back to the photograph here, as cool as it is with the one-to-one computers being put into the various schools in the state of Iowa, the thing that concerns me is that Emma, our 6th grader right here, by the time she gets through high school at Van Meter, she's going to be pretty well prepared. What frightens me is Carter. the young man that has yet to enter school. Because when he gets to 7th grade, the things that we're doing right now today are going to be old hat. And so the new educational system that needs to emerge needs to be something that's fluid, organic, that continues to grow, that continues to morph with the strategies and technologies that come online. Otherwise, 4 years ago, the big thing at Van Meter School went to graduate is you had to make a PowerPoint presentation. We now have students that are making iMovies in 3D, creating blogs, connecting digitally. We have our own Twitter account. If you follow us on Twitter, it's #VanMeter. Educational systems need to get up to speed because our country is at a crossroads. Our democratic beliefs and freedoms are kind of in the balance. And if we do not create an educated workforce, technologically workforce, we're doomed. We're doomed. Boy, this is as quiet. This is like being in church, you guys. Snap your fingers if you're with me here, huh? All right. This light on me, it feels like I'm getting a 3rd degree. But no, I invite you all to come to Van Meter and to see it. Now, you can't come till next fall because we're getting ready for finals and graduation and baccalaureates tonight. But next fall, we'll be setting up times, Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the week, for folks to come out and to see what's going on. Because really and truly, for me to get up here, I'm a digital immigrant. The students that we have in Van Meter are digital natives. They've grown up with all this. And it is much more powerful to hear them talking about it than it is for some old guy who's 53 years old trying to explain this new modality and this new concept. Questions, comments? Again, snap your fingers if you're there. Okay. The last thing that I would want to share, maybe. These are the current one-to-one schools in the state of Iowa. Clay Central, New Fonda, Pocahontas, Cam, United, South Hamilton. And you'll notice they're not completely across the state. You'll also notice that they are smaller school districts and that most of them have issued laptop computers, basically grades 6 through 12 or 7 through 12, with the exception of United Community, which is a K-6 school district between Boone and Ames. Now, the United Community, they issued all their students 4th, 5th, and 6th grade wireless laptop computers. And they've had a fantastic learning experience. This is the first year for it. Now, the challenge is the 6th graders now, to go into 7th grade, have to choose to go to school either in Boone or in Ames. And quite frankly, they don't want to go because they'll have to give up their computers, because those school districts are not one-to-one school districts. But next year, hopefully I'll be able to come back and maybe we'll have some of the kids from Van Meter present and let them tell the story. And instead of the 15 that you see right there, you'll see 30 to 35 school districts across the state of Iowa. This is crucial. We are creating a tech-ready workforce. When the caucuses go on in 2011 and the world press is back in Iowa, they'll be able to travel to those school districts and see globally connected students with high-tech skills.